Hi guys, welcome to Angular Crash Course. So what is Angular? Angular is one of the most popular JavaScript frameworks out there, and it is developed by Google. So now let's take a look at the screen here. You can see that this is the projects that we will be building in this crash course, and there's a lot of topic to cover in this crash course. So these include installing the Angular project using the CLI. We also look at the folder structure. We will learn how to create components and servers, and Angular material will also be installed or used in this crash course. We will learn how to build the card and the grid system as well. And not only that, we will learn how to create a free REST API that include the CRUD. So those are create, get, put or update, and delete requests. And we learn how to build the form, and finally we look at the routing. So basically it allows us to navigate to different page. So right here you can see that we have this project that we will be building. Let's just take a quick demo on this one right here. So here you can see that we have this menu on top, which is indicating the home page, and this is the about page. When I click on it, it will navigate to the about page, and again click back to go back to the home page. And we have the columns right here. You can see it allows us to input the grid, the dog grid, and this is the image URL, also the description. And down here we have the different cards. So right now we have 4 cards as you can see, and if I were to create or add a new card, then I can just simply add it right here. So the first one right here, let's just quickly add a new dog called Pitbull, and this is the image URL. I'm going to just use this one right here to just quickly copy that, and right here this is the description. So let's just copy this one right here. This is the description, and finally I can just click on the add button. But before adding this to our interface here, let's just quickly take a look at the API or the backend. So here you can see currently we have 4 object or 4 data, the ID number 4, and now let's just quickly click on this add button. So when I click and now I scroll down, you can see a new card is created. So this one here is using the post request. And now let's just come back here and quickly refresh this and see if a new data or object is created. And as you can see, we have the ID 5. And this is the grid and also description, as well as the image URL that we added earlier. And for this one here, whenever that I try to refresh this page, this is using the get request that get all of the information from the backend via the API. And for this icon right here, you can see when I click on it, this is using the put request. So basically it changed from false to true, or when I click again, it will change from true to false. And now let's take a look here. So by default, you can see we have the false value. Now I refresh this page, and you can now see it changed to true. And for this one here, the button delete, whenever that I click on it, this is using the delete request. So now let's just quickly do it here, and you can see the card is gone. And when I refresh this page here, see if that card is gone, and as expected, you can see we only have 4 objects right here because that card was just deleted. So there's a lot of topic and interesting stuff that we'll be learning in this crash course, and without further ado, let's now get started. Okay guys, so this is the Angular official website, so angular.io, and this is created by Google, and it's one of the most popular JavaScript frameworks beside React and Vue. And now let's just quickly click on the get started button. And here you can see that it tried to explain what Angular is. And now I am going to click on the get started. And when I scroll down, this is the page where we can install Angular. Here you can see we have to install Node.js. So if you haven't installed that, you can click on this link to install. Now let's install Angular CLI before we can install Angular project. So to install this, just copy this and then paste the command here and press on enter key. Next, we can install the Angular application or the projects. So to install this is the command ng new, and then we give the application a name. So now let me just first navigate to my drive D and type the command. So ng new, I will call this projects as Angular Crash Course and press on enter key to install this. Right here it asks whether I want to add Angular routing. So press on Y. And this is the CSS version or the style sheet, which version that we want to go with. So I'm going to go with the first one, which is just plain CSS. Alright, it is now installed. So next step here is, let's just take a look. And this is how we run the application. So we need to cd into the project name, and then we can run this command here, ng-serve-open. So if we don't want to use the --open, we can also use the shortcut here, just -o. Then it will automatically open that in the browser. Otherwise, we have to copy this URL and then paste it to open it, right? So now let's just do that here. So cd to my project name. So Angular Crash Course. And then ng-serve-o to open the application. Okay, so now you can see it is running on localhost 4200, and this is the port number, and this is the home screen, and you can see that it's compiled successfully. Okay, and the version that you can see right here, this is the version 12, which is the latest version. And from the home page here, you can see I can click on this, and then this is the command that we can use to generate. In this case, this is generating or create a new component. And if I want to install Angular material, then this is the command. And we have PWA and dependency, and this is run watch. This is for testing, and the build for the production. Okay, so there's a lot of command we can do. Right now, let me just open these projects in my Visual Studio Code. Now I have opened these projects in VS Code, and we now going to go through this file quickly. So the first one here is package.json. You can see these are the commands. So we have already used this one, ng-serve, we have ng-build, and this is for testing, ng-test, and these are the dependencies we installed by default, and down here we have the dev dependency. So next is let me open the tsconfig. So this is the TypeScript configuration file. We might want to change some of this. And next we have the angular.json. So this is the configuration file of the Angular, and here you can see we have the main file, and this is the index TypeScript configuration pointing to the TypeScript right here, right? And there's a lot more. You can see we have the build, we have testing. So next I'm going to show you is opening up this source folder. So inside this source folder we have a lot more file. And now let me just open this main.ts. So the main.ts here, this is like the entry file to the application. So here we have import the app module, and what it does, it will bootstrap this module, or you can think of it like rendering this module, right? And we also have the environment as well. So what is app module? Let me also open up this folder called app. And inside here we have a lot more files. So we have the app modules or app component here. So now let's just quickly open the app modules. And inside this app module, we have import the app routing module, we have the app component, and the routing here, we have installed it by default when we select the yes. And inside this file, you can see we have the declarations with the app component. Also, we import up here the browser and also the app routing module, and we just export it down here. So next is to look into the app component. So right here we have the app component. Inside this app component, we have this selector and also the template URL, which pointing to the HTML file. And for this one, this is for styling, so it pointing to the .css. Let me just quickly open the HTML file right here. So here you can see these are all of the including the CSS and also some of the HTML tag. So whatever that you can see here, these are exactly the same things you can see here. So this is the result of that file. And next here is the CSS file. So we want to do the styling, or we can also move some tag you can see here. We can also move it into this file as well. So next here is the app routing module. We will look into this in a minute. And then this is the spec. So basically this is only for testing. We will not look into this one here. And we also have this folder, which is the asset and also the environment. So now let's just quickly open the app components TS. So the selector that you can see here, we will need to use this in the HTML file. So let's just look into that one here. So index.html, that the file I'm looking for. Okay, so right here you can see that we use the app root, which we can get it from the selector here. So this is how we're going to put it in the HTML file. So imagine that this HTML file, it is the parent file, and the child will be the app component. Okay, so this will be inside the app component here, the app root. So whenever we want to display something, then we can just add it in the parent component. Then this will just show the content of the child, which in this case we have the app component, and more information can be found here. Okay, so this is the child component and this is the parent component, which is index.html. And in a minute, I will also show you how to create more components as well. So this will then become the parent of the other component that we will need to create. I have closed some of the file up here, and right here these are the contents. So let's just quickly change this. So to change this, let me just scroll to the bottom of the page. So right here, let me just up here until the content here. So we just need to keep the router outlet because we will be using this one. So I just remove all of the content above. Now let's just quickly save it and go back here. We will see a blank page. Alright, as expected. So now let's just come back here, and what I'm going to do is to add a new tag. So let's just quickly say hi guys, just like that. Save it and take a look. And we have a text display here in h1 tag. Okay, so let's just quickly go to the app.component, and you can see that by default this is what it show. It show the Angular dash cross dash course, right? So to display this text from the app component.ts inside this HTML tag, so we can just simply let me just show this in h2 tag, and we just simply use the double curly bracket and just use the name here, which is title. Now let's just save that and see if we have that text display. So refresh, and here it is, guys. You can see we have this display as well. So that's very simple on how to text from the app.component.ts to the inside the HTML tag. The next step is to create a new component inside this app folder. So let's just come back here. I'm going to terminate this. So instead of using this external command prompt, right? So let me just quickly terminate this, and now go to the terminal. I'm running the application from this terminal instead of using that command prompt. So to run this again, it will be ng serve, press on the enter key, and yep, let's just refresh this page. You can see that it is working again. So to install this, well, I need to terminate this. So to terminate this, you can press on Ctrl C on your keyboard. Now let's create a new component. So to create a new component, this is the command that we will need to use. So ng generate component, and this is the folder name called components. You can just call anything you want. /pad. So pad is the component itself. And now let me just press on the enter key, and you will see that a new folder will be created called components, and inside that we have the pad component. Alright, the component have been created, and here you can see inside the app component, now we have this components folder, and inside this component we have the pad component. So we have 4 files created. So right here, this is the component.ts, the TypeScript file. The same thing, we have the selector, we have this template URL, the style URL, and this is the function. Right here we have this HTML tag. Whenever that this created, it will just use the component name plus the works. Okay, just this one word, and this is the CSS file. Right now there's nothing inside here. Now let me make some changes to the TS file here. So now I want to say display a text. So on top of the constructor here, let's just create this new variable called title, and then let's just say pad component title. Okay, just like this, save it. Next is to use this selector. So this is the app.pad, right? So we open the app.component.html. So basically this is the parent component now, and this is the child component, and we want to display anything that inside this pad component, the child component, inside this parent component. Then we will need to go to the app.component.html file, and then we can just quickly call that selector here. So this will be app pad, just like that. And next is to go back to this pad.html, and now we have this pad works, right? So now let's just quickly run this again. So ng serve, and see if we have this tag showing together with this information like hi guy and also the title, right? So now let's just check out. Yep, guys, take a look here, and yep, here it is. We have this the same text display plus this new one right here, which is pad works. So right here, these two, and this is the pad app, and inside this pad app we have this. And if you want to display the title here, the pad component title inside this pad.component.html, we can do the same thing, which is using this double curly bracket, and then we provide the name, which is title, and it's now rendering again. Take a look, it's refreshing, and now you can see we have pad works and also pad component title. So ending that it is working. One thing here is that if you want to change this Angular crash course right here, you can just simply go here and go to index.html. So this is the title. So you just put like a space and save it. And here we can see that it is now changed. Next step is to install Angular material. So with this, we can see that there's a lot of options that we can use. So now let's just navigate quickly to the components, and here you can see there's a lot of component that we can just use by just installing this library. So the component that we need to use is this card right here. Now let's just quickly navigate to the example, and here you can see this is the card that we will need to install. So to install, Angular material, we can just coming back here, terminate this, and the command will be ng add, and this is the name, so it will be Angular / material. And this as this version will be installed, then you can just choose yes. And now it asks which color are we going to use, like the theme. So the theme here is we have 4, so you can see, right? So these are the theme. I think that I'm going to go with this second one here. So now let's just navigate. So which is right here, the first one, indigo / pink. Press enter, and this is the, and it asks whether we want to set up the global Angular material typography style. Then you can just press yes. And this asks set up the animation. You can also press yes or Y. And here you see the content has changed. Right here, the style.css, it also added this as well once this installed. And the next things is the app.module.ts, and we can see that it tried to import this new one, the browser animation module, from the animation here. And down here it also added this as well. And now we are ready to use the Angular material. So to use this, before that, let's just quickly open this again. And now let's coming back here and click on the API. This is the one that we need to import, which is the Math Card module. So coming back here, this will be underneath this. So just paste this in, and let's just copy that. And inside the imports, remember, if you import it up here, then you also need to add it down here. Let's just put a space, and we are now ready to use this card module. So to use this, let's come back to the example, and to see the code, we can just click on this icon here. And here it is, guys. We have the TS, this is the CSS, and this is the HTML. So let me copy everything, and then coming back to the pet components, HTML. So I'll just need to paste it in like that. And we also need to copy this CSS as well. Copy that, and coming back here, paste it in, save it. And now let's just have a look. And yep, here it is, guys. We have the card showing, but the problem here is that we have this button. So it seems like we need to also edit this import as well. So right here, this is the button. Let's just see the example. We have lots of here, the button sample, and yep, let's just copy this. Going back to the app module.ts, and just paste it down here. Edit the space, copy this, and remember to add it in the imports. And next is to coming back here and see this is the button, right? So it should be fine. Let's go back here and see. Okay, so yep, that is already installed. Very simple, right? So instead of like showing this as like and share, I want to change it to the icon. So the button icon right here, I want to use is the icon, the hard one. So to see the code, again pressing on this icon, and then search for this one here. It's called favorite. So let's just copy this. Going back, so right here, let's just paste it in. And here you can see we might need to install another one called Math Icon. So coming back and see here, this is the icon. That means we need to copy this and edit the same one, which is the appmodule.ts. Copy this, edit down here, save it. Yep, it's compiled successfully. Take a look again. Here you guys can see we have this icon right here. Instead of like showing us share, I want to change this to, so this will be inside the app component HTML, to delete. Save it. Refresh, and yep, here it is. So for the button right here, let's just see the color that we might need to use. So here I only have black, blue, pink, and this one. You can see the red one here is the color equal to warm, and here we have the favorite. So the color here, we have the primary, we have the accent, this is the warm, and if we want to use the black, basically we just need to get rid of this. So if I were to cut this out and save it, and we get the black color here. So imagine that if a user click on this icon here, then it will turn to red. Otherwise, if they click again, it will turn back to the black color. All right. So now let me just paste the red one back, and then we can write the condition to this letter. Let me also quickly show you what inside the code that produced this one, right? So now let's go back and the pad component HTML. We have this card right here, import, and this is the header with the name, and this is the subtitle. We have the image, so we just need to provide the image URL, and this is the content. So right here we can see we have 4 lines of text. I might wanna just cut this to maybe like 3. So let's just say this Shiba Inu, and quickly save it. See, we now have this. Okay, that's look a lot better. Here we also have the button. You can see we have this card action that we include this button, and this is the delete button that does nothing for now. And the CSS here, if you want to change the size of the card, you can just change it here as well. Let's just say 300, right? And take a look here. And this become a smaller one. Let me just keep it as this. And this is the background image, basically the one right here that you can see. Next, let's just add the console log. Whenever that say I press on this icon, then we can see that it's console log a text. So to do that, let's just go to the pad.component.ts, and then we can start creating a new function. So let's just call this as on click. Here we just want to console log, so CLG, and just say favorite, and now go to the pad component.html, and in the button here, well, I want to call or to use that on click function. So this will be the event called click equal to that function name. So this will be on click, like so. And also I want to change this to just say favorite button, just like that. And now let's come back here again. I press on F12 on the keyboard to see the console log. Okay, so now let me just press this, and now you can see it print out this favorite, right? So that means it is working. Now we have this one component called pet. Right now, let's just quickly delete this as well. So this will be inside the app component right here. Just get rid of this app component.ts. Right here, let's just comment this one out. Okay, you just need to keep the card. All right, now we have this. The next step I want to show you is to let's just try to open a new terminal, and this is still running. Okay, right here, let's just create a new component. This time, this is only one pet, right? So I want to create another component, but this one I will call it as pet. So if you were to think, it is like the parent component of this pet component. So this will be ng generate components slash pets. So I will install this new component called pets inside these components. Okay, so this new component has also been installed, which is called pets. And now let's just coming to the app component.html. Instead of like showing this as the app pet, which is the first component here, right? I want to change this to pets. So we want to instead render whatever that we have inside here. So this is supposed to be the pets works. Now let's see. Now it's working. And what am I going to do? Well, basically we just want to have this as the parent component, like I mentioned. And if we want to show the card of this component, then what we can do, we can just call app-pet, just like that. And now let's just quickly save it, and we're supposed to see the pet works, and this is the card. Okay, and now let's see. Yep, it is working. We have this, and this is the card itself. So again, I just want to quickly recap. This is like the first level. We have the app pets, and next inside the app pets here, we have this app pet. So this is the one that we display here, the content here. Okay, so this is the child of this component, and this component here is again the child of this app component. Next is to create a new file called fakedata.ts. So where am I going to install? Well, it will be under the app right here. So under this app folder, let's create a file called fake data. So basically we will need to provide an array of objects. Now I have an array of objects here called fake data. This is like a mock data, if you can think of it. And here we have the ID, we have the dog breed, and this is the image URL, this is the description, and we also have this is it can be its favorite, or you can just use it as like this favorite, and it's to true by default. And this is another one, ID number 2, the favorite is set to false by default, and this is the third one, also set to false. And we also have the image URL here as well. So for this, I will need to use this keyword export, because we want to export this data, and we can use it in the app. So with this, I want to also create a new file called let's just create that file called pet.interface.ts. It will be export interface, and we just need to give this a name. It will be interface. This is just like a class, but we can define the type here. So it will be ID equal to the type number. So this is all about TypeScript. And next is breed. Let's set this to string. URL also string. Description also string. Next here is favorite. this will be Boolean, true or false. Okay, so now we have this interface set up as well. Next is to import. So right here we can import the pad interface from pads, that's interface which is coming from here. So to use this interface inside or with this array of object, well, we can just simply do colon and pad interface, and don't forget to also add the empty array here as well, because we are using the array type here. Okay, so now this is working fine. Next step is to use this data here, this list of data inside the pads components. So now let's navigate to the pads.component.ts, and we can just import this. The first one here is fake data, and next one is import pad interface coming from this here, and also down here we can just start declaring this pads. This will be pad interface equal to fake data. All right, so now we are ready to use this pads right here, and the data, they are all coming from this fake data. Okay, and this is the pad interface that we also imported here, and we use it right here. Next step here is to go to the pads component.html, and basically we want to loop through the data that we get from this file here, right? And to loop through the data here, well, we come to the pad components.html. We can get rid of this, and to loop through inside the HTML file, well, we can use ng4. So let me try to display this in the p tag for now. This will be star or asterisk, and then use ng4, so it's just like for loop. And inside here we can just use let each pad, okay, of all of the pads. So the pads here is coming from here, and next is to use the pad dot, well, what do I want to show? I want to show the breadth, so pad dot breadth, and save it. And now let's just go back. Okay, you guys can see it is working. We have the breed, the dog breed, the first one, second one, and the third one, using the again the ng4. So instead of like showing it in this p tag, I want to show it as a card, right? In the app.pad. So to do that, well, right here, let's just use the same one, ng4, and inside here we can just use let pad of pads, and we will need to provide the property. So the property here, call this as pad equal to each pad. So whenever that each individual pad, it loop through the whole list here, right? So each one here, it will pass, put it here, and it will pass through to the property. So we will need to get the information through this property called pad. And now we pass this in. Don't forget to also comment this one out. And now we have this pass to the component here. And the next thing that we need to do is to use this. So how do we use it? Well, you can go to this child component or the pad component here. And on top of this file, well, you can just import pad interface coming from here. And then you might want to also import another one called input, because we import the data coming from the parent component, in this case coming from here, right? So we just use the input here. Next is right here. So let me just comment this, and we use the input. It will be add input, and this is the path equal to path interface. And now let me save it, and here you can see we have this saying that it no initializer and not definitely assigned in the constructor. Well, to get rid of this issue, you can just scroll down and look for the tsconfig.json, and here you can see the strict, it just set this to true. So to get rid of that, well, you can just set this to false. And now let's just go back here again, and the issue has now gone. So now we have the data here, right? 3 objects. And how are we going to show it? Well, go to the path.component.html, and instead of like showing only one here, because right now we use the ng-for, we can loop through all of the information. So instead of like using this, we can just use this right here, the format. It will be path dot, the first one here is the breadth, and we can just keep this one here. And for the source, the URL of the image, well, we can just set this to path.url. And for this one, instead of like Shiba Inu, we can just say photo of a dog, the static one. And the description, this is become dynamic now, so we can just use the path dot description. Yep, that's I think all the information has been changed. So we have the breadth, description, the URL of the image. See what else inside this fake data. Okay, so breadth, URL, yep, all good. So here, let's just coming back and take a look. Well, here it is, guys. We have this one, the Shiba Inu, the first one, and this is the description. This is the second one, German Shepherds, this description here. And the third one is the Golden Retrievers, and with the description down here as well, the image. And one thing is that I don't really want to show it as columns, as you can see here, right? So what I want to do is to show this as a row. So we have 3 cards in a row. And to do that, well, we might need to have, let me scroll down, see if we have the grid. So grid list, well, this is what it look like. We have this one to use. Well, to use this again, just quickly copy this right here, going back to the app modules and import it here. So it's called MatGrid List module. Also add it in this import. So it will be like this. And we want to see some sample. So this is the example. This is the one that we want to use. So we have this MatGrid list, column 2. And it would look like this, right? And this is the TS. This is CSS, so it just changed the background color to light blue. So I guess we can start using this format. Okay, if you still remember, we have this path components.html, right? So this is the for loop. So instead of showing like individual card here, we can just use that for loop. Okay, just take advantage of this one. To do that, let's just paste all of the code here for now. And we want to copy this part like that, and this would be wrapping around this path here. For now I don't want this row height. And then we want to also use the MatGrid tile, so copy that, paste it here, This is the closing one, the closing tag. Okay, just keep it like this, and this one I can get rid of it. Okay, so take a look. Yep, we have this look, but this is not something that I want. Well, see if we can change. Instead of like using the for loop with this app pad, we can just cut this part here and then put it in this grid tile. Right, so now let's see. Okay, looking a lot better. We have the 2 columns, and then this is the 3rd one down here. We can also change this to say number 3, and this is what we get, but then it crop here. So let's just fix this, and you can see that the issue here is that because the image, they are not the same size, so this is a lot bigger compared to this one, and that's why it just cropped down here. Well, to fix it, let's just coming back here, and we can go to the pad component .css, because right here in the pad component HTML here, we have this image. Okay, so we just need to change the size right here. So I might need to add a new class. Let's just call this as .image size, and the height of the image just set is to 250 pixel. So to have everything the same one or the same size, we can just use object .width. So this property will equal to the cover. And next, let's just coming to the component.html, and we can now start using this class. So class equal to I call it as image size. Save it. Right, and now see if this fixed the issue. Okay, looking better, but not the best. We have the same image size, but then it just cropped this. Well, we can just go back here, and here in the app components .html, we can start setting this row height. Let's say 500 pixel. Save it. And see. Okay, yeah, that is working, guys. But this would look a lot better if we have like space in between the card, right? So I can just come to the pad component.css, and this is the card size. I can change this to 300. And you can see that this is just a like example card. You can actually change the name here, doesn't matter. So now save it, and yes, a lot better. We have space. At the moment, you can see that we export the fake data with the list of objects here, right? So instead of using like this, I want to create a service. So to create that service, well, we can use the command ng generate service, and we create a new folder called services/pad. Pad service will then be created. The service has been created. This is the file. We have the pad service ts with the injectable here coming from the Angular/core. And this is just the testing file. Well, right now we can come to the pads.components.ts. Instead of import it here directly, we can just now comment this one out. And this one here, we can just set this to an empty array for now. So that means no data supply at the moment. We can also check that here as well. Right, nothing is showing. We now need to move this fake data to this service. So to move it here, well, we can just use the import fake data from the fake data here, and down here import the same one, which is pet interface, and we can create a new function. Let's just call this as get pets. This is the pet interface with an empty array, and we want to return fake data, which we imported right here. The next step would be to import call observable from the RxJS. So let's import that here, observable from RxJS, and the other one here is the auth. So what I'm going to do here with this, basically, if we think of like using the promise in normal JavaScript, right? So this is the same thing. So here we can use that observable, wrap this like that, and down here this will be const paths of, this will be fake data, and instead of returning the fake data like that, we just want to return the all of the paths. So next is coming back to the paths.component.ts. We want to import the path service, right, coming from this one here, and this is the one path service. And to use the path service here, we will need to add it as the provider in this constructor. So we can set this to private path service, and this is the path service that we import up there. And inside this ng on init, we can start using this data. So this will be this dot path service, which is here, dot get paths. Right here, the get paths, we created this function, get paths dot subscribe, and inside here this will be the paths, and this dot paths equal to paths. So the subscribe here, it's just like the dot then when we are using the promise in JavaScript, and this dot path here, it will then set the data that are coming from the list of paths here, okay? And once we have this, then we are ready to use the this dot paths. And now let coming back here, you can see this is the one that we are using right now. So let path of paths, and now see if we have this showing. Well, here it is. Right now, instead of using or importing the fake data directly, we are using the service with this function right here, which is the observable. It's just similar to the promise or async and await, if you can think of that. And once everything fixed, then this is the dot then function. But in Angular, we are using dot subscribed. Alright, now let's try to create a free REST API. So here the website is mockapi.io, and you can now click on this get started button. So next what you're gonna do is to sign in with your Google account. So now let me just quickly do this. So once signed in, this is what you can see, and you're going to click this to create a new project. So just give this a name. I'll just call this as Angular Crash Course, and down here just leave it like that, and you can click on the create button down here. Okay, so next what you're gonna do, just click on this project, and you can now see that we have this endpoint. So next is to click on this new resource button, and you just need to give a endpoint. So this will be, I'll call this as paths, and down here this is optional. Let's just scroll down a little bit, and right here you can see that this is the JSON template that we will need to provide. So they provide this sample right here. So just copy this quickly and copy it down here. We would not need everything. It's just this one right here. And instead of this, we just change it to bread. The same for this one. So we have a few fields. This one is the first one is bread. We have 4 in total. So next one will be URL. So we can just change this to URL as well. And the third one here, this is the description. Alright, so just copy this and paste it here. And next one will be the favorite. So spell this favorite correctly. Copy that, paste it here. And remember to remove the comma down at the end here. So now let's just try to create this. So here this is the endpoint. So now let's just try to open this. Go to, and right now we see nothing but the endpoint that we create, which is /pets. Alright, so it is working. Just showing an empty array because we haven't provide or create any data yet. So now we have this endpoint. Quickly we will be using this. So now let's just go back to the application. Okay, next we will be dealing with HTTP request. So now you can click on the app.module.ts and we need to import a new module. So this will be import, and this is the HTTP client module from Angular/common/HTTP. And remember to also copy this and paste it inside these imports. So right here. And then next we can click on the pet service.ts. So this here we have to import the HTTP client. So HTTP client. So not module, just HTTP client. And the other one here is the HTTP headers. Right. So for the headers here, we'll be working using the post request and also the put request. So now let's just scroll down a bit inside this pet service class. We will need to provide the endpoint. So this will be private. I just call this as a URL. So right here, we just need to paste the API endpoint. Let's just quickly copy this one here and going back, paste it in. So this is the property or the variable that we need to use. Okay, so now we need to use this HTTP client. To use that in the constructor, we will need to declare this. So this will be private. I call this as HTTP. You can give any name you like. And then this will be HTTP client that we import up there. So right here. And now we are ready to use it. So instead of calling or using the fake data, now we can comment this out and we can start using the GET request. So this will be return this dot HTTP coming from here. Dot, this is the GET request, and it will be the pet interface. So this is the array, and then this dot URL, right? So the URL is coming from this endpoint. And now let's just quickly save this and see if we get it up and running using the built-in HTTP GET request here. Okay, so now it is loading, and you can see that at the moment we don't take anything at all because in the back end we don't have any data, right? So to add the data manually, we can click on this data and then let's just copy and paste the data here. So I have the data here. Let's just try to paste it inside. So I have right here, I can just get rid of this, and then yep, remember to also remove the comma at the end as well. So basically I have one object here, including the breed URL, the description, and also favorite. So for the created here, these are just come by default, also the same as name and the avatar as well. So what you need to care about is only this part right here. Okay, and then the same for this. This is the object number 2 and number 3. So let's just click on the update here. So now we have 3 data. Let's just quickly refresh this. Okay, so now we have these objects, and let's just refresh this, see if we get the data. Alright, so here you can see that we still have the exact same data as I showed you previously, but this time instead of showing or getting it from the fake data, we are getting it via the endpoint from the database. Alright. Right now you can see that this is not showing properly. Even though in the back end here, you can see the first one is true, second one's false. So right here we can all see that these are all true. Okay. So now let's just work on this part right here. So this one is in the pet component.html. So right here in the color, we haven't defined or add any condition yet. So to add condition to this here, we can just use this bracket, and then inside here this will be the pet.favorite. If that is true, then we want to show this one right here. Otherwise, we just gonna show nothing. Okay, so this is the also for the pet.favorite, it is coming from the database, the same as the pet.url, pet.breed, right? So now let's just save this and see if we have this shown correctly. Okay, so here it is. This is false, this is true. Alright. Now let's also work on the favorite right here. So whenever that I click, then it will change to true. When I click again, it will change to false. So right here we have the on click. So let's just take a look. We have this on click. Whenever we click on that, it will show favorite in the console log. So I might want to change the name here. So instead of on click, let's just change this to on favorite. All right, so just copy that and change, paste it here. Now we want to omit the data from this child component, which is pet component ts, to the parent component. In this case, this is the pets.component.ts. So to emit that, instead of using the input here, we want to output it. So this will be output, and then this will be the event emitter. Okay, so now we want to use that. This will be the output. So output, let's just call this as on add favorite. So this will be the event emitter, and we also want to provide the pet interface here as well. And then this will be new event emitter, right? So it would look like this for the output. And now let's just come down here to the on favorite, and we are now ready to use this dot on add favorite dot emit. Now we are ready to use this on add favorite. So to use this, it will be in the parent. So this one, the pets component.html. So to use this, it will be right here. So we can just use the on add favorite equal to the function. So this will be add favorite, and also provide the pets as well. So right now we don't have this add favorite yet. So we now need to create this. So it will be in the pets.component.ts. down here. So add favorite will be pads. We just need to give this pad interface, and this will be pad dot favorite equal to whatever the current one, just the opposite of it. So if it is true, then it will just set this to false. If it's false, then it will be set to true. Save this quickly. Go back to the interface. And here, whenever that I click, you can see that it just changed from true to false, from false to true. And this is not related to the put request yet, so we will need to work on that. And here we need to go to the pad service.ts, and now down here we can try to create a new one. This will be, let's just call this as update pad favorite. So pad interface, this is the observable pad interface. So this is only one data. We don't need to use this array format. And now we have this created. Next, we will need to create HTTP option that contain the content tab application/JSON. So to do that, on top here, we can just declare this will be HTTP options equal to this object. It will be header new HTTP header that we imported here. This will be the content type. So type capital letter and application/JSON. Okay. Now we can come down here. Let's start writing. Let's just call this as update URL equal to, let's just use the backtick because we need to provide the pad ID as well. So we have this URL here, right? We can use that one. This dot URL slash the pad ID. So pad.id. So the reason that we use the backtick is because we have to use this dynamically. The same with the $sign as well. And next will be return this .http, and this time we use the put request. And this will be the pad interface without the bracket. And inside here, this will be, we provide the update URL on top here. .pad, so this is the pad data, the data that we want to update. And next will be HTTP option that we declare up there. Okay. So now let's just quickly save this. Now let's go to the pads.components.ts, and right here we can start using that service. So this will be this pad service update pad favorite, and the data that we need to provide, which is pad.subscribe. Okay, so just this line of code, then we good to go. Now let's just go back here and see if it is working or not. Okay, so this is the default one, and when I click on here, then it will just send a put request to the back end. And when I refresh, see if we still have that here. Okay, so meaning that it is working. Even though right here this is false, when I refresh this endpoint, see if it is true. Right, so it is working. The same for this one as well. Let's just quickly refresh this. It is working fine. Now let me just quickly recap this again. So first, we use in the button here, this is the click event, and we just use or call this on favorite function. And then inside on favorite, we have used the emit, so on add favorite. So to use this, we go to the parent component, and right here this is the one, And here, this is the add favorite pad that we provide the data here. So the add favorite, we need to go to the ts file, which is the pads component.ts. And right now you can see that we just do the opposite of whatever that already exists. And next is to create a service. Inside this service, you can see we have the endpoint that we provide up here, and we use the put request. So the inside here, we need to provide the update URL that consists of the pad ID, and this is the pad itself, the opposite whatever that we get, right? And also this is the HTTP option that is the application/JSON. And next is to basically call that a service. So update pad favorite, and this is the opposite of it, true to false for the true, then dot subscribe. And that's how we build the add favorite. Next I want to show you is to work on the delete button. To work on the delete button, it is quite similar to the favorite. So first we start with this pad.component.html, and this is the delete. So now we can just start using the click event. So this will be click equal to on delete, right? So save that, and we need to create the function right here. So this will be on delete, and let's just quickly console log this. So it will be, let's just say delete, and now let's come back here and console log this quickly. Press on F12 on the keyboard, and when I click delete, you can see that it is working. The same for this, right? So now this function is working. So next is to start using the emit. So we have already import the this one here, the output and also event emitter, the same thing, which is similar here. Let's just copy this part and then paste it here, and let's just change the name. So let's just call this on delete pad, and this one will be the same. And now we can start using this dot on delete pad dot emit, right? And this time we will need to add the pad here, and don't forget to also add the pad on top here. And first let me also quickly see this one. So whenever that we click on this delete button, then it will show that pad object. So right here we also need to add the pad as well, right? Okay, so now let's just go back here, refresh, and when I click on the third object, and now you can see that this is the data related to this dog here, so which is ID number 3, and this is the breed, right? And the name and everything. So we have all of the data here. Whenever I click on, say, this one here, this is the ID number 2, we also have all of the data. Okay, so now we want to pass the data to the parent component. So this is the child component, which is the pad, and now we want to pass this data to one level up. So it will be the pad component .html here. So behind here, let's just do on delete pad equal to, let's just give this a name. This will be delete pad, and we need to also pass the data as well. So let's just save that, and now we can go to the pad component and create the function down here. This will be delete pad. So the same as the above one, it will be pad interface. And now let's just save this. Next will be go to the service here. So we need to create a new function. This will be delete pad, This is the pet data, will be pet interface. Let me copy this part here, the same thing, and inside this function, let's just do const delete URL, let's just call it like that. And for the endpoint, exactly the same as this one here, we need to provide to have the pet ID, and we want to return this .http.delete. So this will be pet interface, only one here object, so we don't need to use this format. And next will be delete URL, right? So we don't need to provide the pet data or the HTTP option because we use the delete request. So now let's just save this. We only need again the pet ID, and then that's it. So now let's just go back here. So instead of trying to delete these 3 pet, let's just quickly create a new data, and then I want to delete that one. So let's just copy this y comma, paste it down here, right? So this will be ID number 4, and let's just breathe here, just say like test, the same image and description, that's fine. So now let's refresh this endpoint, see if we have the 4th one. Okay, so right here we have the 4th one. Next is to use this. It will be in the pets.component. So to use this .pet service .delete pet, and this will be the pet .subscribe, and inside the subscribe, let's do this .pets equal to pet this .pets, and we want to filter out the one that we delete. So it will be, let's just call this as items item.id, and if it is not equal to the pet.id, so let me just put it down here so that you guys can see this a lot easier. Okay, a lot better here. So basically we have these pets coming from this here, right? The pets we filtering out. So this is coming from the database. So if that ID is not equal to the ID that we have here, then we just want to basically filtering out that card. We don't want to see that. Okay, so now let's come back here, and I can see this is the test, the same one. Now let's start testing this delete button. Okay, so here you guys can see it's already deleted, and then it filtering out that card out. So let me refresh this, see if it is still there. Okay, so it's gone, and we can also check it here as well, see if the ID number 4 also deleted. Right, so it is working. You can see that we use this time is the right here, the delete request. So let me just again quickly go through this. So basically we have used the click event here. Whenever the user click on the delete button, then we want to send the data to the pet.component.ts. Okay, so now we also use the pet here. We have the data. Whenever I click that, you can see that in the console log as well. And we want to emit this pet object or pet data to one level up, which is the pets.component.html. And you can now see that we also use the pet on delete pet as well. So it's coming from here. And then this is the function name that we need to provide. And you can see that the data we can also use here because we have that access. And right now this here is the delete pet itself. So we basically start defining the delete pet in the pet.service. and we are using the observable with the delete URL, which is exactly the same as the update URL, and then we want to return this using the delete request. We this time only need to provide the delete URL. We only need the endpoint to delete it, so we don't need to provide like the pet object or the HTTP option. Okay, and now we can start using it. So basically this is the code that we use, and this is the pet, all of the pets equal to the pet.filter. We want to filter out the one that we delete, so it is the checking if it is the ID from the database and the ID that is existing one. If they are not equal, we want to filter that one out. We want to see it in the interface. Okay, so that's the process. So next we should create a new component. So right here you can see that in the interface there is no field that we can enter, say for example like breed, description, the image URL, or if it's favorite, right? So we want to have that ability so that user can just enter whatever data that they want, and they click on say like the add button, then it will add a new card down here. So to do that, well, here in the Angular material, there's like this component called input. So here they got some example right here as well that we can use, right? So basically this is the one that we can use. And also take a look here, it says that the math input here is to allow the input or text array element, and it has to work with the math form field. Okay, so basically to use this we will need to import this one here. So just copy that, going back, and we want to import it in the app.module.ts. So just paste it here, and the other one is the form field. So this one here in the edit, copy that and take a look at this one here as well. So it's related to the one I show you in the input here, right? So for this let's just actually put it on top. Okay, so don't forget to add it here. The other one here is the math input modules, so just paste it there, add a little space, right? And we can create a new component. So instead of terminating this, let's create or try to open the new one. And so ng generate component slash we can give this component a name. It will be add pet. All right, so let's just create this quickly, and it will be creating here. Okay, a new component is created with these 4 files. And next is to, let's just click on the HTML, add pet works, and in the component here, this is the selector that we can use. So it will be app add pet. So to use this, well, I want to show it in the pet component .html. So let's just show it on top here. Okay, so save that, and it is still up and running here. Take a look here. So here we have the add pet works. So now what I want to do is to copy the sample example here. Let's see, I want to use the basic input, so just click here to view the code. Let's just copy all of this, going back, and it will be in the add pet component HTML. Let's just paste it here, and instead of this, let's change it to breed, and for the placeholder, let's just say Shiba Inu. We don't want to have the value shown, so we can just get rid of this. Now let's just quickly save it first and see what we got. Okay, so here we have this. We don't want to have this text area, so you just get rid of this and copy the one here. And so we basically need to have the breed, image URL, and description, and the other ones would be the button. So for now, let's work on this one. Let's change this to image URL. This will be description. And what else that we need to change? So for this one, I don't want to have the placeholder here. Get rid of this. Right. Save it. So we have 3 text fields, and you can see that there is no space in between. So I want to add the space. So let's just go to the CSS here. Let's just quickly add that. Let's just call this class add margin. Let's set the margin to 10 pixels. Save this. Going back, it will be each class here. So change this to add margin. Copy this. Paste them here. Take a look again. And yeah, we have the space in between, looking better. Now I want to also add the other one here is the button. So it will be button. This will be mad button. Let's just call this as add button. And the form here, actually we don't need to use this class example. So take a look again. We have the add button here, all right? So now to work with form, basically when the user enter the data, then we want to update the data right on the fly. So we'll be working with form module. So now we need to import it in the add module.ts. So quickly import the forms modules from angular/forms, and then let's just copy this, paste it here. Next is to go to the add path component .ts here. So we need to define the property. So it will be breed. The type will be string. URL will be string. Description also string type. And last one here is favorite. This one will be boolean. So boolean. Let's just by default set this to false. All right. And save it. And to use all of these variable or the property in the form HTML here, well, we can just start with the first one here, the breed. So the input. So at the end here, let's just use the ng model because we just import the form modules, and now we are ready to use the ng model. So this is the input, and this will be the output. This is the format that we will need to use the ng model. This is the data binding, and now we can just use the name, the breed, which is coming from this breed, right? Let's also test this out whether it's working. So underneath here, let's just quickly show the breed. So whenever that we type something, then it will set the data to store it in this variable, right? In this property. And next it will be just showing it right away. So let's just save that. And it might not work at the moment because we haven't provided the name, but I just want to quickly show you first that it related to each other. So let's just type out here. Okay, so as you can see, there's nothing is showing. So now we need to also add the name equal to breed, exactly the same that we provide here. Let's just take a look again right here. Start typing. You can now see that the data is here. So this is called a two-way binding. So now let's come back and we're going to do the same thing for the other field. So let's just copy this in the input. The other one here is this one. Let's change this to URL. This will be URL, and next will be description. This is the description. Okay, so we can get rid of this just for testing. Next, we will work with the submit the whole form here. So the Angular, it has the ng submit. So equal to, we need to define this function. Let's just call this as on submit. Save it quickly, go back to the TS. I might want to just close some of this so that you guys can easily follow me as well. Close this. I also close this. Well, bring it back. And now let's work on this one here. So underneath this, let's use on submit. What do I need to define in here? Well, it will be const. Let's just say new pet. This will be the object. So breed equal this dot breed, and URL will be this dot URL, description this dot description. So this is the object. We need to use the comma instead of semicolon. Okay, so now we have this here. Basically, whatever data that we have from here, we just want to assign it to this variable inside the whole object here. Then we want to send this whole object to the database using the post request. All right. So now we are here in the this component, the child component. Basically, we want to output this data to the parent component. So a similar thing to what I showed you previously will be output and also event emitter. And then right here will be the add output. So will be, let's just call this on add path equal to new event emitter. Right. So now we have defined this, and then next will be start going back to the parent component. So we'll be inside the paths component.html. So we need to use that here. Will be on add path equal to the function. So let's just use on path add path equal to so this is supposed to be the path, right? But then we don't have like the for loop here. Basically, you can see we have the for loop, then we are able to use this. But if we don't have that for loop here, what we can do, we can use the event. So $sign event, and we will be able to also get the path data. Now let's open the paths component.ts. Let's just try to create the function. It called add. Well, instead of using the capital letter, let's just change this to small letter. Add path. The same for this one, just to make everything consistent, right? So add path. This will be path interface. Inside here, well, let's just first console log it. So console log path. And one thing, guys, so in the add path component, you can see that we have already imported the event emitter, but then inside the on submit function, we haven't really used it. So it will be this dot on add pad dot emit and the new pad. So the new pad that's coming from the form. So now let's just try to save it and go back to the form. And here we can start entering random data here and click on the add button. And here I can see we have the breed URL description, right? So it is working. And next is to work on the post request. And also one thing before that, let's say if I click on this button here after I enter all the data, then I want to clear out the form here as well, right? So to clear that out, this is what I can do. Will be this dot breed equal to the empty string. The same for the other two. It will be URL equal to this. Next will be add description equal to the empty string. Save it. Going back, test one more time. So random and click on this add button. And here you can see we have all of the data and then the form clear after clicking on the add button. Right, so it is working. Next is to work on the add pad. So we can just comment this. And to work on the add pad, let's just go to the pad service.ts. So this service call add pad. This will be the same thing. Pad interface observable. Pad interface. We want to return this .http.post. So this is the post request. And then here the same pad interface. So here it will be the endpoint URL. So on top here, right? It will be this .url, and we want to provide the pad, the new pad object. So here will be pad. Next will be HTTP option. We want to send it in the JSON format, application/JSON, right? So now we have this defined as well. Next is to go back to the pad.component.ts and we can start using it. So this will be this .pad service .add pad. So this is the pad.subscribe, and inside here this will be the pads, basically the data that coming back from the database. So this will be this .pads.push. So basically I want to push whatever the data that coming back from the database. I want to push it onto the interface, so we don't need to reload the page, right? So now let's just quickly save it and try to go back to the interface, and let's try to add this. So let me type all of the information here. Alright, so now I have entered the detail, Bulldog, and also image URL and also description. Now let's press on the add button. So see, scroll down, and here we go. This is what we have, right? So this is the new card that is added with the description. We are now getting close to finishing this course right here. So what I'm going to do next is to work on the routing. So for the time being, you can see we only have one page, and next is to add a new page. It will be say the about page, right? So now let's go back here, and if you remember when we start installing this Angular projects, we select the routing by default. So to check that, here in the app module, and take a look on top here. So this is the app routing module. So it is imported by default, right? And we can also see a file that is created right here as well. So it's coming from the NG module and the router module routes coming from the Angular/router. And this is the route. At the moment there's nothing at all, and we need to update it here. So now let's just quickly try to import the pet component. So let's just quickly do it here. It will be pet component coming from the pet component here, and we just need to provide the path. So it will be the home page, so nothing here, and the component will be pets components. All right, so we import it up here. And now let's just go to the app component.html. So right here you can see that I have added down here that we haven't really deleted this part when we first started this, right? So this is the router outlet that currently we don't need to use this pet app.pet anymore. So to show you what I mean by that, let's just keep it for the same, these two, and now let's go to the interface and see. Let me scroll down here. You guys can see they are exactly the same thing, but this time instead of using the app-pets, this is using the router. So this is the router outlet. So that means we can comment this part out. And next is to create a new component. This will be the let's just call this as about page. So we're creating a new component. Okay, a new component is created. It's right here. So now let's go to the app routing.module. We can import this new component here. So it will be about page component coming from here, and then the path. We can add the path. This will be about component. This will be about page component, right? Save it. Next is to go back to the app component.html. So we can now start using it. Let's just use the A tag. This will be router link. So first one here is the home page. Let's just call it as home page. The other one, which is quite similar, we can just still use the router link. So the reason that we use router link, because whenever that we click on the link that redirect to the page, we don't need to refresh the page, right? So it will help with the speed of the page. So this one here, the /about, let's just say this is the about page, right? So now go back to the website, and on top here you can see we have the home page, the about page. So here you can see we have the about page works. So in this about page.html, we have the about page works. So we can navigate back and forth, right? But right here you can see it's not looking that good with this. I might want to change the styling. Let's just quickly go back here. We want to wrap this around the nav tag. Cut this part, put it down here, and then to style this, it will be in the app component.css. So let me do display flags, justify content equal to space. We want to have the space between. Down here, align items, want to align it in the center. Background, let's just use the background that we can see here, right? So the color of that is 3F51B5. and the color of the text will be white. Padding, let's add the padding 20 pixel, 50 pixel left and right. So next will be nav the A tag. Let's change the font size to 20 pixel. Color will be again the same, white. Text decoration, let's just set this to none. We don't want to have like the underline. Okay, take a look again, and yep, here you guys can see this is looking a lot better now. We have this about page, home page. Let's just update the text instead of things like page here. Save it again, take a look one more time, and you guys can see we have a better looking, right? And you can just update or add any text you want here. That's fine, easy. So here you can see the button. It's kind of hard to see, right? Might wanna just change that styling. Go to the button and then example. Let's just try to grab probably this one, erase. So let's see the code. It will be right here. So the color is primary. Let's just copy this. Going back and see the it's in the add pad component .html. And now let's just try to add the styling here. So we don't need this. Okay, save it. Take a look again. Perfect. Yep, that look a lot better with the styling that match the menu here. Okay. So yep, guys, I think that's pretty much it for this Angular crash course. I hope you learn a lot from this. We look into how to build the card, showing the image. We can see that the data is coming from the database here, and we also look into how to work on getting the get request, showing all of the card. We also look into this favorite, which is the put request, and the delete request here as well. And next is to work on the post request, right? And we also have the routing on top here as well. So there's a lot that you can learn from this crash course. Basically, this is a whole project. So that's all for this crash course, guys. If you have any question, let me know in the comment section down below. And remember to subscribe and like this video to see more content just similar to this one. Until then, see you guys in the next video.